turnover of senior staff members at the White House continues, with the most significant one to date being announced by the president on Friday.
On the one hand, we are all very excited for Rahm as he takes on a new challenge for which he is extraordinarily well qualified. But we're also losing incomparable leader of our staff and one who we are going to miss very much.
Rahm Emanuel says he's quitting as chief of staff to pursue his dream job, being mayor of the Windy City. And if he's elected, it's probably going to be blowing more wind than ever in Chicago. Well, what's the move mean for Chicago and the administration? We're going to ask former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. And Governor, good to have you back with us. You know Rahm Emanuel pretty well. Were you surprised by the decision?
No, I wasn't. Rahm's a very ambitious guy. He had indicated months before that he was interested in running for mayor. It didn't surprise me that Mayor Daley chose not to run again. In fact, 4 days after President Obama was elected, Rahm and I had a telephone conversation where I was surprised, expressed my surprise to him, that he was going to be the chief of staff. I thought he was on a path to become Speaker of the House. And he indicated to me that he only wanted to do the job as chief of staff for 2 years, and that he had hoped to have a placeholder as a congressman that might then get a cabinet position, and he would come back and get his congressional seat. So the fact that he's come back now to run for mayor is no surprise, and I think he'll be a very competitive candidate for mayor.
Well, the race is going to be in February, but in January something pretty big is going to be happening in Chicago that involves you, the trial that you'll be going back through. And one of the questions that we have for you, and this is, I think, significant that you're here on our show, first time you've talked about this since Rahm's announcement, is he going to be called to testify in your trial?
Well, Rahm is a central figure in the political discussions and the political deal that I was trying to put together, a deal that would have created 500,000 jobs through an investment in the infrastructure, something you ran and advocated as a candidate for president, health care for up to 300,000 people, the option of getting health care if they could afford it, and a written guarantee not to raise taxes. Rahm, on the day before my arrest, had agreed to be the go-between between me and the Democratic House Speaker who was blocking those initiatives. Today's Chicago Tribune actually released evidence that was supposed to be barred by court order. They have a front-page story indicating that, in fact, Rahm had talked to my chief of staff as the go-between, which raises questions about the propriety of some people who are actually releasing information, I believe, in an effort to try to hurt Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel, in his conversation and his actions in trying to put together that political deal that would have provided good results for people, didn't do anything wrong. So he'll be a central figure, and he'll be a star witness for us to testify to exactly what happened. And I want to challenge these prosecutors who are persecuting me, and may very well be trying to do this to other people, to release the evidence on the days before my arrest. Let the people see exactly what I was doing on December the 8th, the day before they arrested me on December the 9th, or December the 7th. Release all the tapes and release all the FBI interviews and all the evidence. Let's see what Rahm Emanuel, David Axelrod, Senator Durbin, Harry Reid, Senator Menendez, and all the others who were working with me to put this deal together had to say. They were engaged in routine politics, not corrupt politics, and I believe there ought to be a special prosecutor, Mike, appointed to have that evidence released if the government won't agree to release it, as I've advocated that they do.
If that evidence gets released, what are we going to see? Are we going to find out that there was some dirty hands on the parts of these people, or is it going to exonerate everybody, including you?
It's going to exonerate everybody, including me, and it'll remove the cloud that's over Rahm Emanuel that apparently now the Chicago Tribune has on the front page, somehow indicating that he did something wrong. It's very interesting what's happening here. 2 weeks ago, Congressman Jackson indicated he wanted to run for mayor, and he's a player involved in these allegations as well. They didn't charge him. They didn't charge Rahm Emanuel. They didn't charge Harry Reid, but they charged me. When Jesse Jackson Jr. said, bring on any evidence if you have any, the very next day, more evidence was released to the press that embarrassed Congressman Jackson about his personal relationships, that was sealed evidence. And so my point is, someone is releasing evidence in violation of a court order. There ought to be a special prosecutor that ought to at least go into court and investigate why the government decided to come and arrest me when I was not involved in what the prosecutor said was a crime spree, that Abraham Lincoln would roll over in his grave. I challenge him to release that evidence. It will show he lied, that I've been telling the truth, and that Rahm Emanuel was helping me put together a deal that would help a lot of people.
Rod, let me ask you a simple question. Are you going to be voting for Rahm Emanuel when he runs for mayor?
Well, I don't know who yet is going to be in the race. I'm going to reserve judgment. I will say this, Mike. I've run in 14 elections. I never lost any of them. The people are going to get this right, the people in Chicago. This is a very important election. The city of Chicago faces serious challenges, and the last thing they need are these politically motivated prosecutors who are trying to determine an outcome of an election. They've already undid an election when it came to me being removed from office. They undid the will of the people. Now, by them being involved in information relating to Rahm Emanuel trying to shape an election, or Congressman Jackson trying to shape an election, that is not what these prosecutors are supposed to be, and I believe that's one of the reasons why the Wall Street Journal advocated that this prosecutor who's persecuting me should be removed from office.
One thing about it, Chicago politics is never boring, Rod. It may be dirty, it may be rough and tumble, but it's never boring. What's up next for you other than the trial? You got something else going these days?
Well, my wife Patty and I, as we're fighting through this persecution, we're doing the best we can to rebuild our lives. Samuel in the Psalms, and you would certainly appreciate this, Governor Huckabee, as a minister, said that when the Goliath approaches you to attack, you have to do what David did, and that is run out and quickly meet him. And we've been trying to do that every step of the way. And among the things we're trying to do as we fight through this persecution is to rebuild our lives. And one of the things I just did just the other day was film a national commercial for a national product, which is a whole different world for me, not anything I expected when I was the governor of the 5th largest state.
What's the product?
Well, I have a contract, Mike. I can't say it yet.
Okay.
But it was an interesting experience, and interestingly, it's a product that my wife Patty and I have used for years, long before I was asked to do this. So I feel comfortable not only in advocating a product, but also one that we actually like.
You know, everybody thinks it's going to be shampoo. You know that, right? Just telling you. I'm anxious to find out. Great to have you with me, Rod. Thank you for joining me today, and best wishes. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Mike. All the best.
Coming to you courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, platinum-selling country artist and patriot Toby Keith. He's coming up next. Stay with us.
He's tenacious, driven. He's straight-up hardcore reporting. Banks, bailouts, busted deals. He's breaking news